Check, check. Oh, yeah. Mike's hot. Microphone check. Microphone check. Okay, second microphone check for Amy, guys. Special one just for her.
Good evening, everyone. The time is now 7 o'clock. The Wayzata Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Monday, October 14th, 2024 will please come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Heidi Cater.
Here.
Sheila Pryor. Here. Sarah Johansson.
Here.
Paris Bende.
Here.
Valentina Ayers.
Here.
Dan Ginestra.
Here.
Milan Sahoni.
Present.
Chase Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. I hope everyone is enjoying the unusual, prolonged, nice weather, and hopefully the beautiful fall colors will start soon. If you wish to speak during the audience opportunity to address the board, please fill out a form placed at the back of the room in the hallway there and hand it over to our district administrative assistant, Amy, sitting to my right. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. The consent agenda items are listed in the materials. The recommended action is to approve the agenda and the consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Heidi Cater.
Yes.
Valentina Ayers.
Yes.
Dan Ginestra.
Yes.
Sarah Johansson.
Yes.
Paris Bende.
Yes.
Sheila Pryor. Yes. Milan Sahoni.
Yes, we have an agenda. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is report from organization. This section of the agenda provides an opportunity for a Wayzata High School student council representative to report on information and events at Wayzata High School. Is Peyton Moidle there? Okay. All right. I would like to invite Peyton Moidle, Student Council Vice President from Wayzata High School, to please come forward. Welcome, Peyton.
Do I have to hold it? Oh, there. Thank you. Tonight I'm going to be representing Wayzata Student Body, like you said. Once again. Our last meeting, we discussed the Student Council's plans for the school's homecoming week. And I'll try to give a very brief rundown, because there's a lot of people here, of how it went. Firstly, I want to talk about the Wayzata Homecoming Pep Fest. This year, our junior vice president, Scott, and the committee decided to have professional MCs, speakers during the event. I think they host the Timberwolves, I'm pretty sure. And they were a huge hit. We had a large audience and a ton of participation within the crowd, which has been an improvement since last year. And then, yeah, okay. As for this year's homecoming, the student council was able to raise more than $1,800 or 800 tickets for the dance. And this was a drastic change in the number of sales from previous years, especially after the pandemic. And then we had the Wayzata BPA, or Business Professionals of America, provide concessions at the dance. And this year they added crumble cookies, which I think was pretty success. And then as for some sports, this year's football game, the homecoming game, it was kind of a tough one, but I think the school spirit made up for it, like 100%. My mom always says that the process is more important than the product, and I think that was clear with this game. And it was just extremely memorable. And then we also had, last Thursday, we had our tackle cancer football game against Hopkins, and we won 55-6, which is crazy. And it was just an extremely good game. And then the following Sunday, NHS, or the National Honor Society, and Student Council hosted a joint event, which was the Tackle Cancer Flag Football Tournament. And we had more than 200 students and staff present in the games, and we had over 28 different teams. And it was an incredible game with a huge success, with our goal of trying to create a more united community. As of this upcoming week, it's a heavy week of sports, I'd say. So the girls' tennis team, boys' soccer, and girls' soccer start their section games tomorrow. I think tennis starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow, if you want to participate. And then the girls' cross-country team won the Lake Conference Championship last week. And then one little note I had was I've seen a lot of improvement with the Wayzata Photography Club. They increased their size dramatically this year, and they've been used by student council and other student organizations to promote their organizations, and they've just been very productive this year. Any questions?
Thank you, Peyton. Any questions or comments about colleagues?
Just a comment. Thank you so much. It's especially homecoming, right? It's a big task to pull off, and so it sounds like there's a lot of really hard work. So thanks to you and the whole Stuco crew, and good luck to all of our teams and sectionals.
Thank you.
Yes, you.
I just wanted to thank the council for the work they did on the block party.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fun. The school board had a football toss, and
I saw you
it was
guys
a
there.
beautiful day, and you guys did a great job helping us set that up. So thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. I agree with Sheila. I think it was a success. We moved our table from way back in the end to in the front, and thank you for allowing us to do that. I think we had a little bigger crowd this year than from what I'd seen last year. But also, we finished most of the fruit by the foot, right? Most of the fruit by the foot. So that tells us, that there were many kids that came and tried the football toss. So thank you again, and we hope to see you again next month. Thank you. Peyton.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is recognitions. In continuation of our rotation policy for board members to take turns at the podium, this time Director Genestra will now join Superintendent Anderson at the podium.
First, turn on your mic. Rule number 1. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chase Anderson. I'm the superintendent for the school district, and it's my honor to convene the recognitions part of our school board meetings each month. I want to welcome all of you and thank you all for being here tonight for this special recognition event, one that we look forward to each year. I have to say, though, Peyton, you kind of put me in a bad place here, competing with crumble cookies. Everybody's distracted now thinking about that, but we appreciate your sharing everything happening at the high school. You did a great job of giving us an update, so thank you so much for being here tonight. So our first recognition this evening is an annual event, and one that Roy is very excited about because we have an opportunity to invite in our students who have been recognized through the National Merit Scholarship Program. So I know a number of you are here this evening for that particular recognition. As I always say, we're so proud of our students and the performance that they do on their academics and all the co-curriculars. You heard about that from Peyton earlier in regard to how involved all of our students are. And we just so much appreciate and respect the time and energy and hard work that our students bring forth to make these wonderful accomplishments. But we know it's not done in isolation. And through the support of all of you as the adults in their lives, whether you're parents or grandparents or special neighbors or other relatives, you've all contributed to our students' success. And we're just so incredibly proud of all that they do and all that you do to support not only your kids, but all their friends who probably hang out at your house and eat everything in sight while they're there. I remember those days when our kids were in high school. But you are part of that team, regardless of your role in helping to encourage and ensure that not only your own kids are well taken care of, but that you help with all of their friends and others in the community. So we recognize that and we appreciate that so much. I would like to just share a little bit about the National Merit Program and how it is applied here in Wayzata this year. And then I'm going to turn it over to Amy Swenson, who will convene the introductions and share a little bit more information. So I would like to begin with the following. Wayzata is proud to recognize 30, which is a very large number for high schools in the state of Minnesota and nationally. Wayzata High School students who have been named semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. Congratulations to those students who will be recognized this evening to be among only 16,000 semifinalists across the country. Having 30 of them is a pretty big percentage, really, when you do the math on that. And when compared to other high schools, it certainly is very impressive. High school juniors entered the National Merit Scholarship Program by taking the 2023 preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test, which served as an initial screen of program entrance. The nationwide pool of semifinalists representing less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors includes the highest scoring entrants in each state. These academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in the competition for 7,500 National Merit Scholarships worth nearly $30 million that will be offered next spring. Amy Swenson, Gifted and Talented Coordinator at Wayzata High School, will introduce each of the National Merit semifinalists and share the names of the teachers being recognized by these students. Amy, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
I was joking with Dr. Anderson earlier that I get really nervous when I stand in front of people when there's microphones and cameras. So even though I've practiced the names and I know many of you, don't be surprised if I make a mistake. So as I call your names, I'm going to have you come up to the front. Audience, please hold your applause till the end. Students, you'll grab your certificate and then kind of line up along the front, okay? All right. Our 2024 Wayzata High School National Merit semifinalists are Sadell Abrahamson, Matanshu Agarwal, Hari Akina, Karavi Chandra, just go, Matanshu, go all the way down. Tara Chinta, Leah Day, Nidhi Gandhi, Rithwik Gar, Shelley Go, Ashfaq Hussain, Abhinav Kabaki, Kwa Lee, Richard Lin, Michael Lindsay, Andy Luo, Jonathan Luo, Arya Mahajan, Sadie Meisenheimer, Jason Nichols, Tia Petzel, Yashika Patapu, Shalini Sri, Surya Subramaniam, Samuel Swan, Audrey Testeson, Olivia Wan, Johnny Wang, Karen Young, Janie Yi, and Angie Zheng. So it's a long-standing tradition here in Wayzata Public Schools that our National Merit semifinalists recognize or identify individuals who have played a significant role in their K-8 and 9-12 education. This year's semifinalists selected the following individuals as their esteemed staff nominees. Each staff member identified was presented with a lapel pin in recognition. Cipra, Lauren Campbell-Klett, Joel Ellingson, Sarah Ellis, David Elmhurst, Joel Ellingson, Sarah Ellis, David Elmhurst, Mark Gitch, Jody Grock, Dane Hodges, Mark Johnston, Shannon Kelly, Debbie Kimlinger, Donald Krubsack, Amanda Layden, Alyssa McIntyre, Jared Nelson, Eliza Lewis O'Connor, and Aaron Simmons. Wayzata is filled with amazing staff, as evidenced by a summary of the words and thoughts of our National Merit semifinalists, who had these things to say about this group of staff members and why they were important to them. I quote, "It is very evident how much he cares for the well-being of his students. He embodies patience and kindness and is always willing to go the extra distance to make sure each one of his students is getting quality instruction. This person was incredibly kind and strove to make personal connections with everyone in their class. In their classroom, I felt a genuine love for learning. They are a major reason for why I became invested in taking higher level classes and doing well in school. And for that, I am incredibly thankful." Another semifinalist wrote, "I love how she took the time to make personal connections with all of her students. She cared deeply about each of us and took time to be there when I was struggling. She always made me feel special. No, she made everyone feel special." Another finalist wrote, "She cares deeply for each of the students in her class. She puts in extra work to set up thoughtful demonstrations and has tons of social activities to make the students feel welcomed. Even though her content is challenging, she makes learning incredibly fun and engaging." Another wrote, "He always pushed me to be the best version of myself and taught me to embrace challenges instead of shying away. Thank you for giving me many opportunities to grow." Finally, "She helped me become a more accountable, confident, and motivated student. She was always open to answer my questions or to work with me to help me improve as a writer and a speaker. She cared so much about me as a student and took the time to write a letter to my family about my success in her class. She created a close-knit community full of understanding, empathy, and respect. And I want to thank her for taking that step towards me and helping me grow as a student and as a human being." I would like to extend my personal congratulations to this amazing group of young people. Congratulations to this year's National Merit semifinalists and esteemed staff members. We are very, very proud of you. Thank you.
Not only are they National Merit semifinalists, I believe we'll receive notice tomorrow that ties for the longest smile in history during the photo session. So thank you so much. Again, congratulations to our students for this wonderful award and recognition, and we wish you well in the next rounds of this. Thanks for joining us this evening. Our next recognition this evening is for what's called MinShape Young Professional Teacher of the Year Award. This is a big deal, and I would like to invite Taryn Adams forward as the recipient of this award. Feel free to come forward, and congratulations. I think this is actually a welcome back for Taryn. As I was reflecting, I think you did a presentation here a few months back about the work you do. And I recall the enthusiasm and the energy for her work. And obviously others have recognized it as well. So you're here tonight to be honored and recognized as the MinShape Young Professional Teacher of the Year. I'd like to share the following, and then I'll give Taryn an opportunity to share a little bit about her work and this particular award or whatever might come to mind. I know you have a cheering section here of family members, and you can certainly recognize them as well. It's really great for you all to be here. I share the following. Taryn Adams is a developmental adaptive physical education teacher, more familiar known as DAPE instructors, for some of you might recognize that terminology, has been nominated by Sue Tarr, professor at Mankato State University, for the Minnesota Society of Health and Physical Educators MinShape Young Professional Teacher of the Year Award. The purpose of the Young Professional Teacher of the Year Award is to honor a younger member who has demonstrated outstanding potential for teaching, professional leadership, and service in health, phy-ed, and dance and/or recreation procession. Taryn consistently demonstrates a high level of professionalism and integrity. She is fully committed to her role, providing invaluable support and advocacy for both students and their families. She embraces the challenges of working with diverse students and staff, always striving to offer the highest level of support. Taryn excels at building strong, positive connections with students and families and is a true team player. Beyond her work with students, Taryn has been an incredible support to her colleagues, generously sharing her expertise in helping others develop their skills in adaptive education. Her passion and dedication have inspired us all, and we are so proud to have her as part of the WPS Special Education team. In addition to her role in SHAPE, Taryn has been instrumental in initiating and implementing unified PE programs in multiple schools. This program has highlighted the strong connections between special and general education students. We are truly grateful for Taryn's dedication and commitment to our students in such a short period of time, and she is highly deserving of this recognition. Please join me in congratulating Taryn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you to the school board for honoring me today. It truly feels so humbling, and I'm very grateful to be a part of a district that honors awards outside of our district. I'm so honored to be a part of the Wayzata Public Schools and the schools that I am at, which include Gleason Lake Elementary, Oakwood Elementary, Sunset Hill Elementary, and Plymouth Creek Elementary. So thank you so much for this honor, and I appreciate being recognized. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Taryn and cheering squad, for being here tonight. So how did that feel to stand there and hear that long script while you're standing up here? You don't need to answer, but had to comment on that anyway. Thank you, and for your kind comments. Our next recognition this evening is for our October 2024 Employee of the Month, and I would like to invite Jen Seeley to please come forward. Jen, congratulations. So she's had an opportunity to observe someone reading a script, but really nice things for the person standing here before us. So we're real excited to recognize Jen for this fine honor, and I know she has some cheering squad members here tonight as well, family and colleagues, so we appreciate their presence. Wayzata Public Schools is honored to recognize Jen Seeley as the October Employee of the Month. Jen is entering her 11th year as a teacher and 8th year at Sunset Hill, teaching grade 5. Every morning, Jen greets her students in the hallway, offering words of encouragement to help them start their day on a positive note. She prioritizes her students' emotional well-being and recognizes the importance of creating a sense of connection and belonging within her classroom. Jen's students have choices and opportunities to engage meaningfully with the content. She is highly adept at meeting each student where they are in any subject, fostering an inclusive environment where every learner is supported. The classroom community she builds encourages students to help and challenge one another, promoting positive discourse and deep involvement in the learning process. Her strong knowledge of instructional standards and best practices not only benefits her students, but also supports her colleagues across the school and the district. Jen's openness to vulnerability in teaching is evident as she regularly hosts walkthroughs and invites from other districts to observe her implementation of the curriculum. She eagerly seeks feedback to refine her practice and benefits her students. Beyond her classroom, Jen actively contributes to the broader school community. She is our LEGO League advisor. She has served on multiple district and building committees, including the district's math leadership team, and more recently, the district social studies curriculum team. Jen leads her professional learning community, or better known as a PLC. She mentors new staff and serves as a resource for instructional excellence. Jen approaches challenging conversations with humor and positivity, maintaining a focus on student growth and well-being. Families know Jen as a steadfast advocate for their children, even during difficult times. We are incredibly fortunate to have her at Sunset Hill. Jen, congratulations.
Thank you, board members, for the opportunity for this recognition, and thank you, Dr. Anderson, for reading all those nice things about me. When I started my life as an educator, I was filled with hope and excitement over the impact that I wish to make in the world. It is no secret that teaching students today is possibly one of the most difficult jobs there is, but it is one that has brought me incredible joy, growth, and many excellent stories to tell at family get-togethers. I can think of nothing more important than recognizing and celebrating kids for who they are, giving them a powerful picture of everything that they are capable of, and allowing them to see the steps that they can take to be the person they want to be in the world. And of course, making sure that they understand things like math. I am honored to be part of the world of education, and it is incredibly humbling to be recognized for this work. It would be impossible for me to be the teacher I am without all of the staff and educators at Sunset Hill that I work to emulate each day. The list is longer than I would be comfortable standing up here to read, but most notably, I want to thank the members of my closest instructional team, the team of the month, if you will. I want to recognize Ross Williams for his thoughtful leadership, Cassie Van Coverden for her excellence in student support, Michelle Hull for her student-first mindset, Lily Metling for her stream of innovative ideas, including magically making all of my ideas instantly better, Daniel Haldane for his teamwork, dependability, and of course, keeping our fish alive, Melissa Murphy for her powerful approach to instruction and relationship building, and Michael Del Conte for his thoughtful insights and partnership. The staff and teachers at Sunset are the best of the best, and I'm lucky to be a part of their community. Thank you to all my students, past and present, who share their light with me every day. Hard work would not be fun without them. Most importantly, thank you to my wonderful husband, who finds ways, a million ways to take care of me while I'm focused on taking care of kids at school. From managing our life at home every Saturday so I can sip coffee and complete core or lesson plan, to setting up my emergency classroom at home during COVID, to encouraging my new watercolor hobby, he constantly makes sure that I can engage with my passion of education without being consumed by it. My world, my career, and our family are strong because of your partnership. A final thank you to my parents, my first and best teachers, and to my daughter Reagan, who plays patiently in my classroom while I work in the evenings. Thank you.
Thanks again, Jen and Cheering Squad, for being here. It truly is a team effort, and we heard some of those weekend supports and evening supports and everything that it takes to help a teacher get his or her work done. So we appreciate the teamwork and the support. Our final recognition this evening is for those who have, since our last meeting, announced their intentions to retire. And I would like to read 4 names this evening and share their current position and their years of service to the district. First is Jenna Haskvitz, paraprofessional in the transition program for 22 years. I don't think I've spotted any of our folks that are retiring that are here tonight, but I'm sure they're watching us on YouTube tonight, probably. Another is Gail Majner, paraprofessional at Oakwood, 24 years. Kathy Roden, our payroll manager in the District Service Center. She's been in that role for 32 years. And Lisa Yenser, administrative professional, District Service Center, and she's been in the district for 16 years. So again, assuming and being quite certain they're watching us on YouTube, let's give them a round of applause so they know how much we appreciate them. We appreciate their service and dedication to the school district a great deal, and their contributions will continue to live on. So that concludes our recognition program. I thank. Did anyone else come for some recognition tonight that I missed? I don't think so. I believe we got everybody. But again, congratulations to all of you. You're certainly more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the school board meeting. But sometimes some folks might choose to make a graceful exit at this time, although we're going to have a wonderful presentation from Sunset Hill, and you might enjoy being a part of that here as well this evening. So thanks so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. And hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll continue on with our board meeting. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the honorees, and thank you, Dr. Anderson and Director Ginestra. And now we have the highlight of our regular meetings, the school spotlight presentation. Tonight, the spotlight is on Sunset Hill Elementary, like Dr. Anderson said, and I'll turn it over to Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, Dana Miller, to make the introduction. Dana.
Thank you. And tonight we welcome Principal Ross Williams and Assistant Principal Cassie Van Coverden, who are here along with Michelle and other staff, Michelle Hall and other staff, to celebrate the amazing work of Sunset Hill. Staff at Sunset Hill are committed to creating a sense of community and belonging at their school to reach the strategic roadmap that each and every student is prepared to thrive today and excel tomorrow in an ever-changing global society. To create this community atmosphere, staff at Sunset Hill have committed to continued work in focusing on and in leveraging instructional practices that align with their school growth plan, specifically their academic and student experience goal. Tonight, they're excited to share with the board some of these instructional strategies and practice that support all students in their learning. So with that, I will turn it over to Principal Ross. Thank you.
Good evening. Before I forget, I'm going to make sure that I, again, Mrs. Van Coverden, Cassie, and Michelle Hall. Michelle Hall is in her role as a family partnership lead. Cassie is our assistant principal. Just reflecting a little bit tonight and some of the things we pulled together for you that you'll experience. It took me back a little bit when Cassie was, in fact, working with me for 5 years as a dean before joining me back this year at Sunset Hill. So it has really been a process. I didn't want to forget that as I was reflecting on things to say. Certainly a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, Chair Sahoni, members of the board, and Dr. Anderson. We've been engaged with and continue to build upon at Sunset in the area of student belonging, community, and culture. We're really excited to share this. It has undoubtedly been an iterative process, explicitly thinking about how we continue to work to align goals and resources at the building and district levels to help us live out our best selves as a school community at Sunset. You'll also notice tonight with some of the things that we share that it's a very thoughtful and articulated approach to carrying out Wayzata's mission, vision, and values and the resources and experiences that we have planned and are going to share. While I can't speak specifically for how these things show up exactly at other schools, I do know that we all engage in the same work and whenever possible, using the same afforded resources created and shared to align, a term I hear often known as our through line. see. The first couple things I wanted to point out when I was preparing for tonight and thinking a little bit is not that you all need to be reminded of the district's strategic directions or values, but I'm reminded that we're often on YouTube, and I think it's important for people to recognize that the things that we're sharing tonight directly fit in. I've highlighted a couple things that you can see there. Really, in my mind, the work fits in well with strategic direction 1, 2, and 5. There is a piece of number 3 that stood out to me when we get into what we refer to as a Trojan Pride calendar a little bit later. And that really has been something that has developed over time to support staff that are new to Sunset, but to help us really make sure that the work that we're doing is school-wide. Common vocabularies, resources and lessons, all of those things really help make sure that our teachers are supported in providing the experience that meet number 1, ensuring a high quality experience for students. If students aren't engaged, and that they're not going to achieve. So that's that inextricably tied piece between our student engagement goal, which we're going to really highlight, and our achievement goal. Our core values, I kind of did the same thing when I think about numbers 2, 3, 4, and 6. All the things that I'm sharing with you tonight all really do support that work. The whole idea of collaboration and working together in ways to eliminate barriers starts with our teaching staff and our kids and how we build community within the classroom. We've talked about the importance of building a sense of belonging. I heard Mrs. Seeley speak to that a little bit earlier. The whole idea and work around equity, and when we really think of meeting each and every. And then the last one, respect, learning from and through our differences. Perspective is highly valued at Sunset. Certainly can, I think, in anything, create some challenges. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I think perspective is what makes us who we are. And in order to work really well together, we have to understand first each other. So really working on building community. I referenced before our achievement goal and our experience goal. Tonight, I think we're probably highlighting most the student experience goal, which you can see. We do give a student engagement survey district-wide, and we are specifically focusing on ways this year to increase the opportunity that students have to interact and share with each other. I know that Jen, when she was speaking, she leads our PLC, so just a little piece of that, professional learning community. Their goal is really focusing on literacy this year. Referenced Jen, maybe she just join us up here. She referenced her work on weekends on core, but again, I don't want to spend tonight as much on the academic achievement goal as much as I do really the work around the belonging and student experience. But they are so importantly tied. I'm going to turn it over now to Cassie and Michelle.
Yes. So like you've heard, we really talk about the importance of that, creating that community and belonging. And to do that, we created this calendar. It's called our Trojan Pride calendar to really help with that student experience. As you can see, there's multiple activities that teachers have the ability to engage in throughout the year to help create that. So setting those expectations and limits, really helping them understand how do we create that ideal classroom, supporting kids and understanding my job, my job isn't, your job isn't. So how do we really set those expectations so we can excel and meet that achievement goal along with creating that experience for all the students? We've talked about, I've been at a board presentation before where we talked about the basic needs, but really embedding that scope and sequence for teachers to be able to support them in developing that understanding of we as humans, how we behave and how we can lean in and understand how our friends or maybe a colleague or our spouse or partner behave. So really helping teachers, but also giving that ideal classroom. In this, each teacher will go through these different scope and sequence, and you can see there's Heritage Month. So when there is a Heritage Month to talk about, we place that on the calendar, and there's activities that all the teachers will go through, along with a diversity lesson each month. This month, or September, was around circling up. How do we create those spaces where kids can understand and find perspective, share empathy, get to know each other, and create that morning meeting type atmosphere is our first really dive into that. And also, how do we fill and dip buckets? I had a kid, I mean, that is language that we just want to continuously use throughout our whole school, K through 5. And like Ross had mentioned, we started this about 6 years ago when I was the Dean of Students, because teachers were looking for resources and wanting to really understand how to implement some of the things that we were saying that we needed. And so this has been a support for them. And October month, so like I said, each month we have different activities for the teachers to engage in. Really, this month is around that bullying prevention. Also, today was Indigenous Peoples Day. That Teaching and Learning provided some resources for us to make sure that we're engaging in this day. And then to be able to experience this, we are going to engage in what we call a protocol called Walk and Learn. This is a high movement protocol, and it is sociocentric, so really getting to collaborate with one another. And what this protocol does is we're going to have us get up and we're going to walk over here so you guys can really see those activities that the teachers are engaging in. And as you walk and look, you can talk with one another, but just what are those important ideas that you're seeing them? And then you can also just think about how you would see this play out in classrooms. And these are all artifacts from K through 5 classrooms that we gathered today. But it just really, so you can really see that experience and how we're really trying to set up that belonging and create that ideal classroom so all kids can learn, because we know how vulnerability, trust, engagement is really the core of the classroom. So just helping you to see that too. So we can stand up and we'll walk over here. I know this might be uncomfortable, but oh, you can. Oh, wow.
Walk and talk.
Yeah. If you have questions or.
So this is for students to come and participate and say what do they feel or what do they think of fun,
Yep.
freedom, and then
Yep, and how do they meet those needs? And so they have a lot of discussion around it
Okay.
within the classroom. This is a first grade classroom.
Okay. So they talk about the picture and
They create,
it
like, how do they
translates
try to
to
meet their love, belonging, their power, success need? And we talk a lot about bucket filling.
Yeah.
How do we fill it? Oh, yeah.
We did that at Kimberly Lane when I was there, so it's an old concept.
Yes, it's very helpful.
Is this posted like on a wall in the hallway?
This is in the classroom, right front and center, but all of these would be in their classrooms hanging up. This is not this is just a lesson plan of like a little couple examples of how to help engage in some different lessons.
How do you decide which specific classroom to put these in?
The teachers create them on their own through the Trojan Pride calendar. So their activities are there, and then they create the materials and hang them up in their classroom. So these are just
I've seen
artifacts.
in other schools where they actually have all these things, literally almost identical things in the hallways,
Yep.
on the walls.
Yeah, some are in the hallways and some are in the classrooms. Yeah.
And are these all in one study session, 1 hour of class? Or?
This is broken up. Normally, each day they do a different one. Right. And then as they go, they continue to integrate it and talk about it with the staff.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger grade. What grade did the bucket filling?
This is second grade.
Second grade.
Oh my
Look at that
gosh.
handwriting.
Mhm. That's second grade hallway. I took it today.
Not just the handwriting, but like the depth of thought.
Insightful too, for sure.
Heidi and I spoke to them where I saw you were there.
Oh, are these the four? Remind me what these
Yep,
are.
the
Freedom,
four-
love,
yep.
fun. Oh, these are your
Basic needs.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting because even adults need these, right? Like as I see these. Yeah.
I use it a lot with colleagues even.
Yeah.
And like when I know I'm not showing up as my best self, I'm like,
What am I missing?
I think
Oh,
my
that's a good
freedom has
one.
not been because I'm a mother of young children.
Yes.
I need
You
to
need a
go
little
shopping.
space.
I am not my best motherly self right now. I'm going to the gas station to get a Diet Coke.
Isn't it funny? It's just something, but that's the truth. It doesn't take that much. It's just a little something to get you through.
Yeah, we're all trying to satisfy it, right?
100%.
And as you finish up, you can make your way back to your seat of looking. Good to see you too. So as you can see over there, we talk a lot about who's the person we want to be. Who do I want to be as a student, as a teacher, as a colleague, as a child, as a mother, right? Like who do we want to be and how do we help show up? Because we're living in so much community together all day, especially 6, 7 hours we're together. So how do we show up and be our best selves? And we have a family partnership lead to help support this work too. And she's going to share a little bit about her work.
Okay, so as you can see up on the slide, this is going to highlight some of the things that I do, but then also the other family partnership leads across the district. But we are working with families and helping to build the bridge, but not be the bridge, between school and home. So in building the bridge, the other family partnership leads and myself, we're out in the communities, we provide resources, and we partner with the family liaisons in order to bring insights to teachers. We also help develop instructional practices that leverage cultural knowledge for the classroom. So one cultural behavior I'd like to highlight, just to give you a little understanding, is conversational patterns. So some cultures are comfortable with verbal overlapping. They may talk over each other a little bit when someone else is speaking, and in other cultures, they may prefer a more linear way of speaking, which would be like raising your hand or taking turns. But there's not a right way or a wrong way, it's just a way of being. So the circles up on the chart talk about, or up on the slides, you can see that talks about co-teaching lessons, circle practice, basic needs lessons, culturally responsive strategies, and these are things that either are happening in our building or in other buildings that have the family partnership leads as well. All right, so then on here you can see this is our district definition that we use for culture. So culture is the abstract, learned, shared rules and standards for generating behavior and understanding experience. So at Sunset Hill, we strive to honor everyone's way of being and provide opportunities for cultural differences to be valued. So on the right-hand side, you can see the iceberg. And we use this as a visual to represent culture. And so if we think of ourselves, the top part of the iceberg, which is visible, is just such a small part of who we are. And so then below the surface is the other parts that people don't see, but make up who we are as people. So just to give you a little background on that. But if I thinking back again to the conversational patterns of the verbal overlap, so a teacher may provide opportunities for students to respond without raising their hand. That is allowing for verbal overlap. And in addition to having students raise their hands, to share their thinking. So thinking of both ways that students could respond could help limit if students are blurting or if they're just so excited to, share. And so this would provide an opportunity for students who have different cultural variations on that. So we're going to do another protocol. And this, you're not going to have to stand up for this one. So this one is called Moment of Silence. But if you notice in the top right-hand corner, and Cassie did talk about that on the last one too, it highlights some of the different cultural behaviors that we're focusing on. And so this one, Moment of Silence, it speaks to activity structure. So and you can see the pink circle around there is for individualism, which means this is an activity you're going to do by yourself. And it also is stationary, so there's not a lot of movement. A lot of times we we look at the behaviors that are happening in the classroom and different variations, and then we say, okay, like what is it that we could change in our teaching to help our students in our classroom? And a lot of times we have, we need to add a little bit of movement. But for this activity, it's stationary for this one. So we're gonna engage in this protocol, but we're gonna use, your moment of silence is going to be a slide I show next. That is a passage from Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. But I'd like to point out, oh wait, nope, I said that part. Okay, so this protocol supports learners who prefer working as individuals and leans towards the no movement, and might be a little bit uncomfortable if you like to read something and then you want to talk about it right away. But for this activity, you just are going to read it. Think to yourself and think about the action that you could take, and you can see that from the 3 different things. You'll pause, think about the important ideas. You're gonna think, does this confirm, challenge, or change my ideas? And then you're gonna decide if there's an action you can or will take to honor this. But again, it's a silent activity. So here's what you will be reading.
So we just learned that culture is a learned behavior, and we all have culture. So being aware of the multiple different cultural behaviors in our classrooms or with all of us beings, it helps us learn and to be able to understand one another better. So these are just different protocols that many teachers are engaging in, and Michelle's been co-teaching and helping support that learning and development so that we can reach those high levels of education. And achievement. So this next one, we're going to take it to the classroom. We have a video of one of our first grade teachers talking about post your thoughts and how she engages in that in her classroom, and then a little bit from students of what they feel when the teachers are using different instructional, culturally responsive practices. So me, can you play the video?
We practiced post your thoughts, and we've been doing that a lot in here. And before I used it like with a lesson, I practiced it with kids during morning meeting, and I just gave them like a question where they could draw a picture or write one word just so they felt more comfortable with using post your thoughts through lessons. So here's kind of like our what we've been using for post your thoughts, and I also throw this up here too so I can give them the step-by-step directions. But a lot of times we've been using it in making meaning. We practice it during visualizing, where they draw a picture of what they visualize in the story that I read. Another way we practice it is with wondering. So this was also during the making meaning lessons, during the read aloud. They would come and post one of their wonderings up here. And then again, we got to read some to the class, and they're so proud to do that. I'm able to gauge more like if they're engaged in the lesson, if they're really understanding what I'm teaching. Also, again, holding students accountable to be able to show their work, share it with the class, and again, giving them more purpose. I also really like this strategy too, because in CCC we know that a lot of the lessons are just turn and talk, turn to your partner, and that's obviously not giving us all the activity structures and the people bonds, so it just gives more of something else to do. A lot of the culturally responsive strategies obviously are maybe for older kids, and I've adapted a lot of them, but again, it just gives me something else to do besides turn and talk, so I found them really useful.
I thought it was fun. I think it was exciting because you got to put yourself down about the book, and I really liked the book.
Why do you want to do it again?
Because it's really fun.
What do you think, Reagan?
Because it's really cool. It was fun.
What made it so cool?
You gotta write what you think. It's kind of cool because we get to write in our own words.
Why do you think other teachers should try it?
Well, because it's just really fun and really cool. I think it is fun because you sometimes you learn too. You got to learn.
Why do you want to do it again?
Because it's fun. I felt like it was fun.
Why do you think other teachers should use it in your school?
Because kids can write down what they think.
Stationary again, but it's linear, so we're going to one at a time, and it's spontaneous. And sometimes that might feel uncomfortable to be spontaneous when we don't have a planned action. But this is just, we're going to think of one word to summarize your learning tonight from our presentation. Respond out loud when it's your turn, and you're going to listen to others and try to connect to your learning. So if somebody would want to go and say one word of their learning tonight, and we'll just continue going to the right. Anybody want to start?
I'll go.
Okay.
Innovative. Thank you all. I think this was a great presentation, and it's. No. I'm sorry. Are you still continuing?
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, my word was innovative.
Innovative.
Learning to listen to each other.
Student-centered.
I learned the kids think it's cool.
Bridges. You can learn and have fun.
It was very impactful.
Some of the protocols might have felt uncomfortable, some of them might have felt comfortable, but that's what makes this learning so that each and every can thrive in our global society and learning to bridge to one another.
Thought we'd end with just a quote from a book called We Belong, 50 Strategies to Create Community. From the moment their feet hit the school grounds to the moment they leave, students' experiences of belonging or not belonging powerfully intertwined with the dynamics of their classrooms, affecting the overall school culture and each student's learning experience. So we hope you enjoyed tonight. And really, if there's one thing I want to really encourage and remind people is that learning itself, especially with different perspectives, you have to provide multiple opportunities for students to engage differently in context or in the work if you really want them to achieve. So belonging is super important.
Thank you all. Greatly appreciate your presentation. And if there are any questions or comments from colleagues, Paras?
I just have a few comments. So this is really great. Thank you for this opportunity and thanks for sharing the details. Again, students' experience is #1 priority, and the way you guys are trying to handle it by having them give you inputs, what that experience looks like, feels like, I think it's really great. So we can hear from our stakeholders and then try to make their experience better. So loved it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it was really hard to come up with just one word because I'm a lot more verbose than that. But and I think the thing that I came away with, because so often we hear from families that we want to hear about the achievement of students and the numbers behind it and all of that. But really hearing from you in this way helps me to understand a lot more that the belonging is really foundational in order for the achievement to even be possible. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, sure.
I will echo a thanks. When we think about excellence for each and every, right, we have lots of things. And what I think you showed us tonight is that excellence for each and every is being intentional and intentional about the delivery intentional about the audience and the student needs, intentional about the teachers and the ways that they can shake it up. And I know it takes a lot of effort and energy to think about every piece, and each bit of that intention makes a difference. And we saw that tonight, and we see it in your school. So thank you.
Thanks.
I was going to say thank you so much for being here. It's remarkable to reconnect with a lot of you, and all those really fascinating things to see you now presenting to us about the mechanics of curriculum, what you're teaching students, and then to hear their reflections and whatnot. Kind of both sides of the equation. So just really impactful, really informative, and thanks so much for being here.
Okay, thank you so much. I do have, hold on one second. One second. I do have one question.
Yeah.
Usually the chair asks the last questions or usually makes the last comment. So I do have one question, and I don't remember which slide number it was, but it was the slide that said school growth plan, academic achievement goal. So if Amy, you can bring that up.
Slide 3, I think.
Fourth or fifth slide, I think, from the beginning.
I think it's slide 3.
3 or 4.
Amy.
It was 4.
Fourth slide, okay.
Yep.
So on the left-hand side, you have the academic achievement goal, and by May 31, 2025, 100% of students will meet or exceed literacy goals aligned with grade level standards. Help me understand now, are you saying that the goal is to have 100% reading proficiency for all elementary school kids with no achievement gaps, or is this something different that?
This is specific to the professional learning community by each grade level. So third grade, their expectations or standards or specific work in literacy to achieve those goals or achievement might look different than fifth grade. But what defines really the work is standards, which are set by the state. We are really focusing this year on very, very specific literacy skills at each grade level, from early learning to read in our primary grades to more comprehension work in fourth and fifth to kind of break it down. So that isn't everybody in the school, but it's very specific as determined by a grade level team, those literacy goals that they're trying to achieve.
Okay, so basically these are different from what the MCA.
Very.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's not what you mean. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have.
Yep.
So thank you again.
Before you run off,
Yes.
at a recent meeting, we introduced new administrators to the district, and it didn't work out for Cassie to be here that evening. We won't go into all the details on that, but anyway, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Cassie's in her first year in the role of associate principal at Sunset Hill, and we're just happy to welcome you to that team. Yet one more team that you've been on here in the district in the many incredible roles that you've been a part of. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and appreciate you being here tonight with Ross and Michelle and the cheering section and the teacher of the month or employee of the month and all these famous people that are here tonight. But it's just really great to have you on that team, and we wish you well in that. You're off to a great start, by the way. Let everybody know that. So
Thank you.
thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next, moving on. Next is the audience opportunity to address the board. Amy, I don't see any requests, so we do not have that. Let's skip to the next item on the agenda. Thank you. All right, moving on to administrative reports and recommendations. First, we have the superintendent report. Dr. Anderson will present 6 policies for approval by the board tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'll say the following comment jokingly that our Executive Director of Finance is probably thinking it's time for the finance report since the number of attendees has dropped significantly as we've moved through the meeting tonight, but don't mind to steal your thunder. You'll probably make some comment to that effect. But we do have a number of policies this evening that are brought to you for first reading. As a reminder, all of our policies are reviewed within our policy committee, and board members on that committee, the 3 board members, provide input and offer suggested edits. We make those edits, we bring them forward for board review. And our typical protocol is review the policy. We have a pre-scheduled cycle that we go through as we review policies. Then we bring them to a board meeting and move it through toward board approval. We have several policies that are up for review this evening, and they're listed here. First one, Policy 406, Chemical Use and Abuse. Policy 408, Personnel Records. Policy 421, Employee Publications, Instructional Materials, Copyright, and Patent Ownership. Policy 427, Workload Limits for Certain Special Education Teachers. Thank you. Policy 512, Staff Notifications of Violent Behavior by Students. And Policy 534, Grading and Assessment. So those are the policies that are up for review. Also, two policies that we're sunsetting include Personnel Records, Policy 408, and 427, Workload Limits for certain special education teachers. So I think some of these are being incorporated into other policies in different ways. So I just wanted to share that. So I'm curious, Amy, I'm just wondering if I might be able to ask you for some clarification. So on the board agenda, it indicates policy recommendations 427, workload limits for certain special education teachers. Was that on the agenda only for sunsetting of that specific policy?
408.
And
There was
408.
2 that were for sunsetting, and the other 4 were for
Got it.
review.
So on the agenda, they're listed
Numerically.
entirety. Got it. Sorry, I just all of a sudden I got confused and wanted to clarify that. So 406, 421, 512, and 534 have been revised with new revision dates. Policies for sunsetting 408 and 427 as recommended. So the recommended action is approve the above policies as presented in the attachments. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. So colleagues, the recommended action is to approve the policies as presented by Dr. Anderson. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And do you waive
Waive
the second
second
reading?
reading.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Any second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Okay, this is a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, there is no report from teaching and learning tonight. Next, we have the finance and operations report presented by Executive Director Scott Lesage. Thank you for waiting patiently, Scott. Scott will first present the combined financial reports for the month ended August, followed by a presentation on open enrollment for board approval. Scott, all yours.
Perfect. All right, we can start with this one. And thank you, Board Chair Sahoni, board members, Superintendent Anderson. Dr. Anderson, you did steal my thunder there. So I can tell you, I honestly was like, you probably saw my eyes. I went, oh my gosh, am I next? So joking, of course. This one, you guys have heard me talk about them. They traditionally come to the board on a monthly basis. We kind of had a pause the last 2 months, and I'll explain why. It even kind of leans to this. I know we talked about it in the Finance Committee of the board meeting on Friday, but it's really hard to make these reports kind of useful, if you will, this time of year, because this is only covering, I know we're in October, but these are only going through the end of August. Majority of our budget is made up of salaries and benefits. A lot of our staff are not working during that time. A lot of our projects over the summer are going on, but we have not been billed for them. So as you can see, if you kind of scroll down, Amy, to the next page, I'll kind of talk about, what's that? Okay. But I can kind of keep talking to describe why those are coming up. Just a few things to point out with the revenue. I know that there we go, our property taxes, obviously the way that we recognize them, it's right in line with prior years. State aids are slightly up, but our enrollment is also up, and we adjusted that slightly. So I'm not surprised by that. Federal aids, this is something just to note, as you recall, and as you probably saw in the news and heard in other materials, the ESSER CARES funds related dollars ended 9/30 across the country. And I believe we have until the end of November, December to draw those. but they have to be spent by September 30th. So you'll see a huge decrease in our federal dollars. Also, if you recall, with our budget last year, we did allocate $1.5 million of our federal dollars into state to pay tuition bills. So you'll see just a big decrease over the prior years. And we do draws on those dollars throughout the year. Just some other high points to point out. You notice with the food service fund, if you recall, last year was the first year that they were doing its metered payments with the free lunches, similar of revenue style like we get in the general fund. So you can see up there, and that's just because those payments are on time this year and everybody's getting used to it. Community ed is right in line with the prior year, and then the other two are right in line as well. Next page. All right, and then on here, like I mentioned, salaries and benefits, we are just barely through 2 months of the fiscal year, so we don't have the majority of our staff on site. So nothing really to point out on these. Purchase services, supplies, materials, capital expenditures, those are things I feel like I'm saying the same thing every board meeting, but they vary significantly. It can depend on when we get billed. So those can hop up and down from year to year. And then just food service fund, community ed, they're pretty much right in line. Community service might be offering a little bit more programming, or they might have something going on in the summer that would have bumped that a little bit, but you notice their revenue is also up as well. So nothing else to point out really too much on those. Just know it is a normal to not have a lot going on right now. So next month we'll start seeing quite a bit because that will go through the end of September. And then we've got our first payrolls with our teachers and a lot of our other staff. So then the data becomes a lot more meaningful. And finally, this is just essentially, it's called our investment report. But this is essentially what we have cash sitting in the bank as of the end of August. Any questions from the board?
Thank you, Scott. Any quick comments, questions? I'm happy to see that the year-to-date revenues are higher than previous 2 years and expenses are lower. We want to see that, right, all the time. Am I reading that correctly? At least when we see budgeted versus actuals?
Yeah, it's just so hard because our payments are metered and it depends on like when our property taxes come in, that's when the state kind of holds back. So it's really hard to know that. We pay, to be honest with you, we pay a lot more attention to our expenditures than we do our revenues because those revenues will come in based on the student count, and our expenditures are what we can kind of really watch and make sure we're on budget. But that's a good observation.
Did I hear you say that we will see the numbers change drastically at the end of September? Because August, I think we still have a big gap between budgeted and actuals. Because the revenues haven't started coming in, the expenses haven't occurred yet.
The big line share of our normal expenditures happen in September because that's the first pay period for the teaching staff. And for a lot of the other staff, the hourly staff that starts. So that's kind of when our expenditures start to kind of pick up, and then it kind of trends throughout the year.
Okay, I just have one final comment about the MISLAB fund. We see the numbers, 5.1%, 5.2% return, and I think with the decrease in federal rates, those probably will drop as well, right? Savings rates and money market rates will probably not stay up that high.
Yeah,
for a long time. So
that would be our assumption, and we took that into account even in our current year budget that we presented in June. We kind of pulled back based on what our advisors were telling us. Obviously, last year was a great interest environment for the district, but we had to pull back kind of with a conservative estimate with the trends from our advisors.
Okay, thank you, Scott. If there are no other comments, questions, Paras, yeah.
Actuals. It's 24-25, right? I think it's a typo. It says 23-24, but I think
does
it
it on
should be 24-25.
Okay,
right.
I must have missed one of those, so I'll make sure that gets updated.
And I know usually you talk about those 3 years, right? So we may want to get it correct.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
It's small typo.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Paras. All right, if we don't have any other questions, let's move on to the next one, the resolution.
All right, I'm going to have Jen Welk join me up here. My team always loves when I invite them to board meetings, so I tell them they're very exciting. And they keep coming back, so they must think so. So, all right. Jen is kind of our expert in this area. She's our student accounting person. She handles Mars. She is the person over the course of the summer when we saw our enrollment increasing tremendously. You guys have heard me talk about it, but she was someone that I was bugging, I think, on a morning basis because I knew Dr. Anderson would also want to know, and I live in a paranoid state with our budget too. So Jen keeps her pulse on all of that and watches all of this, especially right now with the studies that we have going on. But anyways, before you, tonight we have a report that comes to the board on an annual basis. This is just a normal report that comes. What is a little bit different from last year is that if you recall, due to cost containment, we had we had recommended to the board, which the board did, open enroll up to 100 kids in grades 9 and 10. So this would be going back to how we've traditionally done it. So just looking at the resolution, the first part, so according to Minnesota Statute 124D03 Subdivision 2, a board may, by resolution, limit the enrollment for non-resident pupils in its schools or program according to this section to a number not less than the lesser of 1% of the total enrollment at each grade in the district, or the number of district residents at that grade level enrolled in a non-resident district according to this section. So Jen will kind of cover the next part and kind of put it more in layman's terms.
So our recommendation for the 25-26 school year is to limit open enrollment in grades K through 12 to maintain the minimum of 1% of each class size. We'll accept an additional 5 students of siblings who are currently enrolled in Wayzata Public Schools, as well as 5 additional children of district staff members. In accordance with the law, we will accept an open enrollment for kindergarten students who have siblings that are already here as well. And the school of attendance will be determined based on capacity. The required, if we don't have enough students that submit an application for open enrollment, then a lottery will be held, which hasn't happened in the last few years. So,
perfect.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions from the board?
So the recommended action, colleagues, is to approve the resolution providing for open enrollment, non-resident agreement for 2025-26 as presented. Is there a motion?
I so move and ask that we waive the reading of the resolution.
Second?
A second?
There is moved and seconded. Any discussion? Now we can ask questions or make comments. Yeah.
I have one question, and again, I don't know if it is relevant. So if it is not, let me know. But when we look at the open enrollment, and I know we are looking at the sort of boundary and the distribution of it, do we look at both aspects together? Meaning looking at where we are putting boundaries and how the class sizes or the attendance is in one particular school, would that influence our decision on sort of non-resident enrollment, or that those are two separate and distinct items?
Let's say 2 separate. I think those are 2 separate issues.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So
because it would kind of be looked at as a macro level item.
Okay. So if any particular school has availability, let's say, that doesn't mean that we can increase the percentage. It has to be 1% or less, as the recommendation says.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So Scott, I have a question. I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, but I apologize. Go back to the recital. You're already on that page, right? So the first bullet point, it says limit open enrollment in grades K through 12 to maintain a minimum of 1%, or should that be a maximum of 1% of the class size?
I'll let you explain.
It's a minimum of 1% class sizes. So if we have 1,000 students in a grade, 10 students out of open enrollment for grade K, for example, or 1, but we don't have any space open at 1 next year because we filled all of those kindergarten kids. So we have to take 1% of every class size. So if we have 975 students, that's 10 students that we have to take under open enrollment for that grade.
So if that's the minimum, what's the maximum we can take?
Well, you can take as many as you want. Yeah, that's what open enrollment districts have. So
kind of a qualifier I would offer on that is it depends on what the board sets as a parameter. So Right now, we have a minimum of 1%, which means if we had 8 students that had applied, using Jen's example of 1,000, 10 would be 1%. If we had 8 students and we had a number 9 and a number 10 that requested open enrollment and we said no, we would be out of compliance because we're obligated to meet that minimum 1% per grade level across the district. And Scott's not inaccurate by saying you can take as many as you want. Some districts do. They take them all because they have capacity. But we are not obligated to do so, and we're asking the board to take action on limiting it to this minimum of 1% due to our capacity challenges.
So the minimum will be 1 and the maximum then also will be 1, right?
Correct.
If 12
For us.
apply, 14 apply, we will not take 12 or 14, we'll take only 10.
Correct.
Okay, that, yeah, all right. So I'm just clarifying
great
that,
question.
making sure
Yep.
that we don't have,
The minimum is kind of in there because it's required state statute. So,
Okay.
yeah, but that's a great point.
okay. Sounds good, thank you. Any other question?
I might just add one more thing. So the language that's included here is very consistent with what we've done
Yeah.
for a decade plus. We've been close to open enrollment generally, other than to these parameters. A couple minor changes, I'll say, over the years has been the priority given to staff. So that's been a change within the last decade, maybe 4 or 6 years ago, I think.
Correct.
Maybe it goes further back, but seems about right to me. And we've had some fluctuations over the years, but generally for the more recent years, because we have been growing so much and adding so many resident students every year, we've just maintained striving for this minimum in most cases.
Just
I think I
Just-
wanted to make a clarification, just that we are doing exactly the minimum because we don't have capacity. And this is a requirement of the state. We have to do a minimum. Yep. Correct. Thank you.
Right. So those additional 5 siblings or additional children of the staff member, does that above and beyond 1% or it is part of that 1%?
It could go above the 1%.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the provision. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Just to kind of to confirm and to agree with Heidi that we are full, and so it makes sense for us to not go above the 1%, and that is what the recommended action is.
Yeah, just to kind of put it in terms too, if you recall, the board had last year due to cost containment when we opened up grades 9 and 10 to 100 students. If you recall, we also had asked the board to take action just a few months ago to close it because we saw our resident district growth outpacing anything that we had projected. So just kind of in alignment with what you mentioned, Sheila.
Okay, so that was kind of my next question. We did already close open enrollment, and now this is kind of the yearly revisit of, we closed open enrollment because we had opened it and things were going too fast. And now this is just kind of,
Yes, and something to, Jen's probably about to say what I was going to say.
Yeah, this is the annual and prep for 25-26, so next school year,
Correct,
where
yeah.
you had just closed 24-25. We already have families that are asking about open enrollment, and the state has deadlines for families to complete that. And so that's why we come here in October planning for 25-26 school year.
thank you.
All right, thank you. And so the recommended action is to approve the resolution providing for open enrollment non-resident agreement of 2025-26 as presented. All right, we already moved and we have moved and seconded. So this is a roll call vote.
Sarah Johansson,
Yes.
Paris Bende,
Yes.
Sheila Pryor, yes. Heidi Cater,
Yes.
Valentina Ayers,
Yes.
Dan Ginestra,
Yes.
Milan Sahoni.
Yes, thank you. The motion carries. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jen. All right, there are no human resources reports today. And there is no other board action as well. So the final item on the agenda is board reports. This section of the agenda provides an opportunity for board members to update school board members on school board related work or to make announcements of interest to the public. Today we have the Superintendent Evaluation Committee report presented by Vice Chair Heidi Kaler. Heidi?
Thank you, Chair Sahoni. As you all recall, there is an annual evaluation process that happens between the school board and the Office of the Superintendent. This letter that I'm about to read is kind of the culmination of the work that the school board has gone through over the course of the past months to complete Dr. Anderson's annual evaluation. So I'll go ahead and read that. On Tuesday, August 20th, 2024, the Wayzata School Board went into a closed session pursuant to Minnesota State Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3A, to evaluate the performance of Superintendent Dr. Chase Anderson. Superintendent Dr. Anderson's annual performance evaluation was for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. The review was based on board members' input on 8 questions to provide feedback to Dr. Anderson regarding his performance on behalf of the district. Feedback and discussion were organized into 4 areas. 1, district strengths, 2, district challenges, 3, Dr. Anderson's strengths, 4, Dr. Anderson's professional growth opportunities. This year's evaluation brought forth overall positive feedback on Dr. Anderson's performance. Despite necessary continued cost containment implementation, Dr. Anderson demonstrated exemplary leadership and a commitment to students, staff, and the long-term success of the district. Regarding district strengths, Dr. Anderson is implementing and encouraging the use of the strategic roadmap and the equity commitment to guide decisions district-wide. These guiding documents are brought to life through the district's continued use of the Center for Educational Leadership, otherwise known as CEL, and Building Instructional Leadership Teams, BILT, which prioritize the student experience, sense of belonging, academic achievement, and striving towards reducing the achievement gap. Other examples of district strengths include a focus on the student experience and supporting students in realizing their potential and excellence, strong leadership among staff at all levels, resulting in attracting and retaining high-quality staff, a commitment to community partnerships, and operational successes including overwhelming passage of the tech levy, efficient and responsive use of facilities, and continued fiscal prudence. The school board has a high degree of confidence in Dr. Anderson and deeply respects his experience, unparalleled work ethic, generosity of time and talent, and incredible dedication to the district. The board has encouraged Dr. Anderson to consider the following potential goal areas for the 24-25 academic year when developing his performance goals. 1, finalization of the district operational plan, otherwise known as the DOP, with associated measurable goals in all strategic directions. 2, continue to engage and partner with the community to understand and respond to changing student, staff, and community needs. 3, monitor student growth as it relates to facilities needs and class sizes. 4, prioritize academic excellence for each and every student, which includes a commitment to student growth at all levels and demonstrable progress in the reduction of the student opportunity and achievement gap. In summary, the school board continues to value and appreciate the experience, unique skills, and genuine dedication Dr. Anderson brings to the Wayzata Public School District. The board looks forward to another successful school year and remains committed to partnering with Dr. Anderson to achieve our mission, vision, and strategic directions as defined by the district roadmap and equity commitment. Dr. Anderson, thank you for another excellent year.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Board colleagues, do you have any comments or questions? I want to thank, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think you're probably going to say the same. So I wanted to thank Heidi for this effort. I know it's not an easy task. Again, just gathering all the inputs from everyone, getting them organized, having that dialogue, making sure everyone's voice is heard, and then ultimately sharing that with Dr. Anderson. It took time and effort. So appreciate all your help and support in compiling all the notes and putting together the recommendation. So thank you.
You make me blush, but it's really the work of the board that brought this all together. I'm only one of 7 and just one who organized, right? So I really appreciate all of the work that you all put into it as well.
All right, I want to thank Heidi, Sarah, and Valentina for the committee, the superintendent evaluation committee that they were on. Great effort, and again, the board actually did get involved, and thank you, Dr. Anderson, for being a part of it and letting us do that. And we look forward to again another fruitful year next year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next board work session will be held on Monday, October 28th at 4 p.m. in the same room. This concludes the Wayzata Public Schools regular board meeting. I want to thank everyone for their participation in a process that is focused on students in our district. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
A second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Oppose nay. The motion carries. The time is now 8:30. The Wayzata Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Monday, October 14, 2024 is adjourned.